Hey, it's John from Tinderbox Arts. So I'm in the middle of rearranging my whole old drum kit here, trying to consolidate things, get things tighter, and I got rid of one bass drum. So everything is moving a lot tighter now. But now my problem is miking these drums. And I had been using these really inexpensive microphones, and they come with these plastic clips that clip onto the edge of the rim, which are fine. I mean, they worked okay. But now, as I got all the drums tighter, it's just becoming a problem because I don't really have room. Like up here, the cymbals come down, they would hit the mics, and up here on the very small drums, they're really kind of in the way. So I'd really like to find out if I can have some other solution. And what I got thinking about was mounting mics internally into the drums. Now, most of my drums are concert toms, so it should be pretty easy to do that. I have one floor tom here that's not that has a bottom head, so that would be more trouble. But the concert toms would be certainly easy enough, and I could get mic stands and stick a microphone on the inside, or underneath anyway, of each drum, but then I'd have a million mic stands, which I'm trying to avoid. So I'd really like to be able to mount the microphones internally without any kind of stand. All right, this is the underside of my 12-inch tom, and you can see if I was able to mount this mic in here, there's plenty of room for the mic. I could certainly get in there. I just need some way to connect it to the inside of here without destroying the rim, or the shell, I should say. So what I thought about was using the screws for the lugs or for the mounting bracket, and coming up with some kind of bracket to fit onto those. So here's the solution I came up with. Here's what the mic looks like, as it is, and this thing slides and has that little mounting thing. But if I take that bracket off, you're left with a microphone here, and then this little thing. So this is, I'm going to reuse. This just unscrews. So I can use this if I can come up with a bracket. And I thought about it, and this is what I came up with. These are just straps meant for holding pipe. And you can buy these at Home Cheapo. You can get them in the plumbing department, and you can get it in the electrical department. In the electrical department, it's used for conduit, and plumbing obviously is used for pipe. These particular ones were 52 cents each. It's 1.5 inch galvanized tube strap, it's called, all right? Now, this is the lug I'm going to, that's on my drums, and you can see, my thought was I could have this strap, connected to these two bolts here, or screws here. But obviously, it's a different size. But it's really not that big a deal. These are easy. I can easily squeeze this to size. The problem, though, is that I need to have this fit inside here, which is also fine. I mean, it will definitely fit, but this curve right here is not ideal. So what I'm going to do is squeeze these. You can really almost do this by hand, but I'll probably use a vise. So I'll just squeeze this together so I got the right spacing there, all right? And then once I do, I'll put this in a vise and just squeeze this together so that it'll flatten this top section a little bit. And that way I'll have, more room to fit this in here. And eventually it'll go like this. And that will give me my bracket inside. All right, I just stuck this thing in a vise here. Again, if you don't have a vise, you could use your hands probably. But it's just easier for me to control it here. So I'm just going to keep this distance here pretty good. And as I tighten the vise, this is going to flatten out. And when I get to a certain point, that looks about good there. I'll go a little bit more just to make sure the bend is in place. And then I end up with a bracket like that. And that's perfect. I'm happy with that. So the only other thing I need to do now is drill a hole here, the right size, so that I can fit that bolt through it. Now there is one little thing here which is not ideal, which is that this has a little ridge on the top here. So one thing I could do is, stick this on the vise and pound that out with a hammer. That's a possibility. I might try it. But the other thing to do would be to get a little neoprene washer and put that right here, and that'll kind of swoosh down and it'll make this ridge so it doesn't really matter. It's not super critical, I don't think, but it is one little wrinkle in the project. All right, here it is all done. All I did was drill that hole there. And I think this is going to work pretty good. Here's the lug. All right, so this is still flexible, so I can move this. If I'm not exactly on as far as the distance there, it'll move. It won't be a problem. Now, the only other thing I'm going to do is I am going to paint these, so I'll make the rest of them and paint them black. And then I may get the neoprene washer in here. Can't hurt. But other than that, I think it's going to work. So basically, I'll have this mounted on the lug. This is the microphone mount. So it'll look like that when it's done. And I'll have some flexibility as far as moving this. I don't know, I think it's going to work. We'll give it a try. Now, if you have a double-headed drum, you have one more step, which is to figure out a way to get the cord inside. For me, it's a concert tom, it's not an issue. But for the double-headed tom, you're either going to have to, cut this cord and get it through a hole in the drum that you put, drill a hole in the drum, put the cord through, and then resolder it. Or some kind of solution like that. But you need to get the cord in there. So for me, it's not a problem. But if you have a double-headed drum, that's something else to think about. All right, I got the internal mic mounts all done here, and just to get up on in here to show you, it worked out really well. Now this is a 12-inch tom, and this is a 10-inch, so even in the very small ones, it all works. I mean, it's tighter in there, obviously, but not bad. And I took pains to wrap the cable so that it's not like banging against the side of the drum and making noise and that kind of thing. The bigger toms, I'm trying to get under here, are like that. All right, so it all cleaned up really nicely. I'm really pleased with it. Now, obviously, I have to reset. I had like a preset in my DAW for gain and for the EQ and for compression and gating and all that. So all that's going to have to get redone now because I've moved everything around. And I expect I'm going to get a different response from these mics when they're inside the drum versus outside. Now the two very small toms, the 6 and the 8, I really couldn't mount them inside there. So what I did was I made this little bracket right here. I have a welder, so it was easy for me to do, but I just took some bar stock here and some tube stock and welded this little section right here, and I have a mic mounted here and a mic mounted there, and they go to a common drum clamp like this, so that worked out fine. So I still get the mic inside the drum, but I don't have to actually mount it on the drum. And I'm keeping the snare mic like that because I may want to change that out and move it or whatever. And the one drum I didn't do, I could do in the future, is this one. Now this one has a double head, so in order to do this one, I got to come up with a way to get the cable through the side of the drum and out. But this particular clamp doesn't bother me because it's out of my way, so it's really not an issue. So for right now, I'm just going to leave it. Sometime when I change the head, maybe I'll put another mount inside the drum. But makes a big difference, cleans everything up, and I'm pretty well pleased with it.